As the story begins, we're shown a massive and beautiful mansion belonging to a man named Artemis. At first glance, everything seems normal, but that feeling doesn't last very long. Something strange has already happened behind the scenes, and we're about to find out what it is. At a time when Artemis isn't home, police officers suddenly arrive at his mansion and begin searching the property. Before long, they discover several extremely valuable items hidden inside. These aren't ordinary valuables either. The items appear so rare and expensive that the authorities immediately suspect they were stolen. The police believe Artemis may be responsible for a series of major thefts, and that he has already fled before they could arrest him. They search the entire estate hoping to find him, but Artemis is nowhere to be seen. However, they do find another large man connected to him. Since they can't locate Artemis himself, they arrest this man and take him in for questioning. The officers bring him to their investigation unit and begin asking questions. They want to know how he knows Artemis and whether Artemis truly committed the robberies he's being accused of. Surprisingly, the man tells them he doesn't know anything about those theft accusations. Then he says something even stranger. According to him, the real theft happened inside Artemis's own house. The officers look confused. The man explains that something valuable was stolen from Artemis, and the person responsible wasn't a criminal stranger at all. It was Artemis's own son. The police can't believe what they're hearing. How could a son steal from his own father? The man simply tells them that they don't have to believe him. But before they judge anything, they should hear the full story. He begins talking about Artemis's son. The boy is incredibly intelligent, possibly smarter than most people around him. Unfortunately, he's also extremely arrogant. At school, he constantly argues with others and gets into trouble. He rarely shows respect to anyone, not even the teachers or principal. In fact, he acts as though everyone around him is beneath him. Because of this attitude, most people at school are tired of dealing with him. Yet despite his behavior, nobody can do much because his grades are exceptional. No matter what happens, he always performs at the top of his class. Still, there is one person he genuinely cares about: his father. Artemis and his son share a special bond. Almost every night, Artemis tells him fascinating stories. Most of these stories involve magical creatures, ancient legends, and fairy tales. Unlike other children who eventually stop believing such stories, Artemis's son is completely fascinated by them. Then one day, everything changes. Artemis suddenly receives urgent business that requires him to leave immediately. His son tries to stop him and asks him to stay longer, but Artemis can't. Whatever this mission is, it seems important enough that he has no choice but to go. So he leaves. The following morning, Artemis's son wakes up and notices one of the family's trusted bodyguards outside the house. This bodyguard isn't just an employee. He's practically part of the family. The bodyguard is speaking to someone on the phone. As the boy listens, he hears him say that Artemis never reached his destination. Instantly, something feels wrong. Why didn't his father arrive? Suspicious, the boy turns on the news. The moment the broadcast begins, his heart drops. Breaking news reports claim that Artemis has been kidnapped during his journey. Even worse, authorities are accusing him of being involved in a series of massive robberies. The reporters explain that the stolen items are worth an unbelievable amount of money. Whoever carried out those crimes would have to be incredibly skilled and intelligent. The boy sits there in shock. None of this sounds like his father. Then suddenly his phone rings. When he answers, an unfamiliar voice speaks from the other side. The caller reveals that Artemis is indeed being held captive. The mysterious man says he will never release Artemis unless the boy finds something called the Aculos. The boy is completely confused. What is an Aculos? The caller hangs up, leaving behind more questions than answers. Without wasting time, the boy runs to the bodyguard and asks if he knows anything about it. The bodyguard admits that he doesn't know much. However, he does know one important thing. Artemis spent years researching secrets hidden beneath their mansion. He takes the boy down to his secret basement. Once inside, the boy discovers something unbelievable. The room is filled with generations of research. Not only did Artemis work here, but his father did as well. And before him, even more ancestors conducted research in the same place. Whatever mystery they're investigating has existed for centuries. As they search through the files, journals, and documents, they uncover a shocking possibility. Fairies were real. According to the research, magical fairy civilizations once existed alongside humanity. But after conflicts with humans, they disappeared from the world and went into hiding. Now the boy becomes convinced that the Aculos must be connected to them somehow. The problem is that they still don't know where it is. The bodyguard suggests that Artemis may have written something about it in a diary. Unfortunately, nobody knows where that diary is. At first, they wonder if Artemis took it with him. But the boy quickly rejects that theory. If Artemis had the diary, then the kidnapper wouldn't need to call asking for the Aculos. That means the diary must still be somewhere inside the house. After searching everywhere, they finally find it. The moment they begin reading, the mystery deepens. Inside the diary, Artemis specifically mentions the Aculos. Even more importantly, he writes something that changes everything. We have to believe. The words are short, but their meaning feels enormous. Believe in what? The answer seems obvious. The fairies. And just when the mystery reaches its peak, the story shifts to a hidden place that nobody believed could exist. Meanwhile, back in the fairy world, everyone was growing more and more concerned. Holly's disappearance had created panic, and the fairy authorities immediately started planning a rescue mission. Since they knew exactly where Artemis lived, they decided to send a team directly to his estate. But before making their move, they activated a powerful time freeze field around the entire property. The theory here was simple. If time stopped for everyone inside, rescuing Holly would be easy. However, something unexpected happened. The freeze had no effect on Artemis, his bodyguard butler, or anyone protected inside the house. That immediately raised suspicions among the fairies because this wasn't supposed to happen. Soon, several fairies stormed the mansion and launched an attack. Artemis remained surprisingly calm despite the chaos unfolding around him. Instead of fighting, he tried talking to them. He told them to stop and listen because he wasn't their enemy. At the same time, the mysterious hooded fairy was watching everything from afar. She had been holding Artemis Sr. captive this entire time and was becoming increasingly frustrated. Looking at the screen, she angrily questioned why Artemis's son was interfering with the plan instead of focusing on saving his father. In her mind, the boy was becoming far more dangerous than anyone had predicted. The more she watched him, the more she realized that his intelligence might actually become her biggest problem. Back in Fairy Haven, Commander Root turned her attention toward the imprisoned giant dwarf. She reminded him that he was still facing severe punishment for his crimes. However, she offered him a deal. If he cooperated and helped recover the Aculos, his sentence could be greatly reduced. The dwarf understood that this was probably the best opportunity he would ever get, so he agreed to help. Meanwhile, Artemis continued speaking with Holly inside the mansion. He asked if she could help him find the Aculos because it was the only chance he had of rescuing his father. Holly initially refused. She warned him that searching for the artifact was extremely dangerous and had already cost many lives. Then she opened up about something personal. She explained that her own father had disappeared while searching for the Aculos years ago. Many believed he had died trying to recover it. Even so, she still hoped to find answers someday. Artemis listened carefully before telling Holly something that completely changed her perspective. He said he didn't believe her father was a traitor like everyone claimed. In fact, he believed Holly's father had been trying to unite humans and fairies rather than betray either side. According to Artemis, people like that weren't villains, they were visionaries. Hearing someone defend her father after so many years deeply affected Holly. For the first time, she felt that someone truly understood what she had been carrying inside. Slowly, a friendship began forming between them. Elsewhere, Commander Root had already ordered the dwarf to search Artemis's home. She suspected the Aculos might have been hidden there all along. The dwarf arrived at the mansion and started searching every possible location. Eventually, he opened a hidden locker and froze in shock. Sitting right in front of him was the legendary Aculos itself. The artifact looked exactly like the stories described. At that moment, Artemis and Holly arrived and discovered what he had found. Unfortunately, there was another problem. The dwarf had been secretly transmitting everything through a special lens in his eye. As soon as he saw the Aculos, the hooded fairy saw it too. The second she realized the artifact had been located, she immediately contacted her spy and ordered him to retrieve it no matter what. She wasn't about to let anyone else gain control of something so powerful. Things quickly spiraled out of control. The spy fairy moved against Commander Root and had her arrested, removing the biggest obstacle standing in the hooded fairy's way. Then he gathered soldiers and launched a full-scale operation. At the same time, the giant creature Holly had captured earlier was released from confinement. The monster immediately began attacking everyone in sight. Suddenly, the mansion turned into a battlefield. The giant dwarf who had found the Aculos surprisingly switched sides. Realizing the hooded fairy couldn't be trusted, he joined Artemis and Holly. Together, they tried protecting the artifact while fighting off enemies from every direction. The monster charged directly toward the Aculos. Seeing no other option, the dwarf swallowed the artifact whole. His logic was simple. If the Aculos was inside him, nobody could steal it. The fight became even more intense. During the struggle, the dwarf grabbed a hanging light fixture and swung from the ceiling while the monster rampaged beneath him. Unfortunately, Artemis found himself directly in the creature's path. For a brief second, it looked like the monster was about to crush him. Butler reacted instantly. Without hesitation, he threw himself between Artemis and danger. The creature crashed onto Butler instead. The impact was devastating. Butler suffered serious injuries protecting the boy he had sworn to defend. It was another reminder that despite acting like a bodyguard, Butler was practically family. Holly quickly used her magic to heal his wounds before they became fatal. Then something strange started happening. The time freeze field around the house was beginning to collapse. Fairies everywhere started retreating because they knew the operation had failed. However, Holly stayed behind. Instead of leaving with her people, she rushed to Artemis. She explained that humans couldn't directly use the Aculos. The magic simply wouldn't respond to them. But if saving Artemis Sr. was still possible, she was willing to try using it herself. Everyone gathered around a table. The swallowed Aculos was recovered, and Holly carefully held the artifact in her hands. Then she began casting a complex spell. Strange symbols appeared. Bright lights started emerging from the oculos. The room filled with magical energy. Watching this, Artemis could barely contain his excitement. Every second felt like an eternity because he believed his father would appear at any moment. But nothing happened. Minutes passed. Then more minutes. Still nothing. Eventually, Holly lowered her head and apologized. She told Artemis she had done everything she could. For the first time in the story, the brilliant young genius looked genuinely defeated. Then suddenly, a strange sound echoed from somewhere inside the house. It sounded like it was coming from the basement. Artemis immediately ran downstairs. And when he reached the bottom, he couldn't believe what he was seeing. Standing there was his father. Artemis Sr. had returned. The emotional reunion that followed was exactly what Artemis had been fighting for all along. Father and son embraced, and for a moment, all the danger, betrayals, and chaos seemed worth it. Far away, the hooded fairy watched this unfold with growing jealousy and rage. The very thing she had failed to accomplish had been achieved by a group she considered inferior. That realization clearly infuriated her. After the reunion, Artemis introduced Holly to his father. Artemis Sr. smiled and immediately recognized her name. He explained that he had known Holly's father and that the stories about him being a traitor were completely false. According to him, Holly's father had sacrificed everything to save innocent lives. Before disappearing, he had entrusted the oculos to Artemis Sr. for safekeeping. Then Artemis Sr. handed Holly a list. The names on that list revealed the true traitors responsible for years of deception. This was the evidence Holly had been searching for her entire life. When she delivered the information to Commander Root, the fairy authorities finally began tracking down every corrupt individual involved in the conspiracy. Justice was finally starting to catch up with them. Back on Earth, however, Artemis Sr. was already thinking ahead. He told his son that their adventure wasn't over. In fact, another mission was about to begin. A much bigger one. Without hesitation, Artemis replied that wherever his father went, he was going too. Then Artemis stepped outside and contacted the hooded fairy directly. In a bold and confident move, he warned her to be ready because he and his father were coming for her next. The threat wasn't just confidence anymore. After everything they had survived, it sounded like a promise. With a brand new mission ahead, father and son prepared for their next adventure, while the mysteries surrounding the hooded fairy remained unresolved. And with that exciting setup for what could come next, this story comes to an end.